Yes, Joy is. We've been looking forward to this for a little while because
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence has been a bit of a kick, hasn't she, in recent sort of
Like
time.
I said, I think she's matured past Hunger Games.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, I was seeing. I mean, I think we said this in the show as well. I don't know if it's just outside conversation or not, but the fact that could she capitalise on her sort of like Hunger Games audience, so to speak?
Yeah,
Like,
I've said this before. Like they're all going to be the same age, growing into the more mature.
So they're mature with thought.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious to see what happens if she's going to sort of decide to capitalise on that more and do more young adult stuff.
I doubt
While
it.
she goes into. I mean, she's still in the X-Men
She's got
films, yes.
Passengers at the end of this year with Chris Pratt.
Oh yeah.
But I think she's taken on a lot more of these. I mean, the whole Russell thing is a blessing to her. Really, she really likes working with him. She's he's her kind of director. So long may it continue. But anyway, we'll get to Joy.
Yeah, so Joy, directed by David O. Russell, the man who's done many films like American Hustle, Silver Linings Playbook. He's been called important in the way that he tries to do different things and sort of like films differently. But a lot of people are divided on him because sometimes people say he's got films that are empty.
He's been called a hack.
He's become a hack by a few people. But I think it's important to say that first of all, the film was written entirely by a woman and then written again completely a guy, David O. Russell, like rewritten totally.
Okay.
Essentially, the first draft was a true-to-life almost story about the real Joy Mangano, what this film is based upon. However, David O. Russell rewrote the entire thing to get a credit for it and sort of rewrite the whole story, which is quite interesting, so to make it more sort of fictionalized. So the basic story is that Jennifer Lawrence plays Joy, who is now loosely based on Joy Mangano, a self-made millionaire who created her own business empire, and it's a miracle mop. It's the greatest sort of household invention that Americans had in a long, long time.
And certainly after seeing the film, I saw a site and all the other great productions.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She's done pretty damn well.
She's done incredibly, and she was a divorced mother with 3 children in the early 90s when she invented it, and was basically an overnight success. And then she's patented many other products, like you've said, different sort of brands and different marketing techniques, always selling on the home shopping network and QVC. And it's a story that needed to be told.
Yeah.
And because, I mean, it's the story about one woman who had a lot of responsibilities, still managing to find her place in the world, and to sort of prove her technique and skill at doing what she loved, and that's creating things. And they make that very clear from the start when it's that flashback to Joy creating these wonderful inventions with paper, like creating. Just creating the creativity
farm,
and the design that they have, and that it's a great opening. And it is semi-fictional now, and it's more inspirational and an imaginative portrayal of how she overcomes the professional and personal obstacles she has to overcome what she wants to be, to become the person she wants to be. But I don't think it worked in all ways.
Right.
Because, I mean, first of all, her family always get in her way, and I think that they are sort of very comedic and very sort of... I think it's sort of fairy tale in the way they get in the way of each other. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
it felt like a sort of Goodfellas style crime family.
Yeah, much like David O. Russell always does. He's got his usual suspects back. You've got Bradley Cooper as the QVC salesman, the lead salesman. You've got Robert De Niro as a father, as Joy's father, and it's all the usual people you expect in a David O. Russell film. And I to be honest, I enjoyed it. I think that's the most important thing. But I just don't feel that you felt the journey was earned for me, because I mean you saw a lot of it, and you saw her strife dealing with all these horrible people, and she's seeming the only good one there. But I just don't feel that you saw enough earned, because it does sort of veer from one place to the next rather quickly, and when it reaches its end point, which I won't spoil, it does sort of it feels like it snaps to that conclusion and to the resolution of the story rather quickly, and I think that's why it settled unsatisfactorily with me in the end, because I don't feel that you did feel like it was earned, because it was building up to something. And I did enjoy it, and the scenes where she is selling them up on QVC are arguably the scenes that are the finest within the film, because Jennifer Lawrence proves there how fine an actress she is, because they are really, really good. All the emotion and the fear and the anxiety and the brilliance that the character of Joy in this film has all come through in those scenes, where you really see her passion for the product coming through. And that's the best scenes in the film, when you see that, and you see Bradley Cooper's charismatic salesman sort of bringing that through with each other. And that's when the film for me works the most, in that 20-minute spell where she's taking it to QVC and talking with Bradley Cooper, because they as always, they go off each other well, and they have a good charismatic force with each other. But in the end, it just didn't get me as much as I wanted it to, because all of the parts are there, much like the Danish Girl, but it just didn't feel like it settled with me as well as it should have, because I just don't feel like you got the full sense of it. And I think there was a lot of sort of, I don't know, I think it was too fictionalized in the end, because there's a lot of like false drama and like convenient plot tropes, like how her friend is the one who is the caller on the QVC show, and the first time to sort of prove that her product is useful, rather than sort of herself proving that the product is worth something. So yeah, I think, but I mean, it looked great. It's got a good soundtrack, and I did like David Russell's direction. There was some really good parts of that, but I just feel like in the end it just wasn't satisfactory for me in the end.
Joey, you've had an interesting journey with this film.
Yeah, I mean, David Russell is a funny kind of director. I mean, this obviously before that you got the likes of Three Kings, and I haven't even seen I Heart Huckabees or anything like that.
He's got a bit of a reputation though, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, well everybody's seen the behind the scenes footage of I Heart.
And apparently the same thing happened on Joey's set as well as Jennifer Lawrence.
But yeah, I've seen bits and bobs of The Fighter. Wasn't bad.
I still haven't seen The Fighter, yeah.
Silver Linings Playbook, which was fine. American Hustle, which I wasn't really that fussed about. So he's a director and writer that I've always been, you know, I can kind of take him and leave
indifferent.
Yeah, but strangely with Joy, so many things that after watching it straight away, and while watching it I thought, man, this doesn't make sense, this is just in there for the sake of it, this is just there for that, to get this big A to B, blah 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 blah. But when I finished, at first I kind of disliked it, but then as I kind of read on different points of view and read more about it, I've kind of decided that I actually really, really enjoyed it.
So much as to say you're going to buy the Blu-ray when it comes out.
Yeah, straight away, because I need to see this again.
I agree.
There's points in the film which obviously I can't spoil, where, I mean, the first like 20 minutes are all hectic and everything and all that, and then there's things that happen which just kind of happen without any kind of development or basis, and they just kind of, you know, go along, especially with a lot of characters as well. They're just kind of in there and out, and
but I think some characters literally vanish.
Yeah. There's Bradley Cooper is probably the only really natural actor in it, to be honest, besides obviously Jennifer Lawrence, who's pretty much carrying us all the way through. But and it does that typical from the Silver Linings Playbook onward, does that typical Russell thing. In the last 10 minutes everything wraps up and it's all happy and fantastic. But I don't know, I really don't know, because even though I knew all this was happening while I was watching it, there was bits which made my eyes roll. When I finished, I found that it's all finished, and I've really, really enjoyed my time with Joy. Yeah, and I really, really enjoyed it.
It's proved quite divisive. Can you see why people haven't taken to it quite as much?
I agree with a lot of points as well, and there's a lot of scenes in it which are just kind of like, but I think it was one of his finest in terms of camera work and direction as well, to be honest, compared to the likes of Silver Linings and American Hustle.
Yeah, so, sure. I was genuinely surprised. Yeah,
really enjoyed Joy.
What did I think? I didn't like it from the beginning, and that was a big concern. I didn't like it from quite early on. And
we had an issue with the projection, though. Also,
yeah, the cinema that we saw it at, that we're not going to disclose. We have mentioned them already in today's show because they've already annoyed some cinema fans. So that's giving you a clue. The film is, if you know what aspect ratios, it's 185 and 235. This film is in 185. It was projected on screen that's 235, which meant top and bottom was cut off. So there's a shot with Jennifer Lawrence on QVC. It's just like her in the frame, right in the center of the frame, and it was completely chopped off. We were all a bit like, oh, okay. That's the thing. So that annoyed me from the get go. There was a sort of humming noise in the room as well. I could hear this sort of like noise that kept going like and going off. That irritated me. The whole fairy tale thing with the TV, that kind of irked me to start with. And then I think when I finally started really enjoying it was the QVC stuff with Bradley Cooper. He shows up and you go, right, it's gonna get good now, and thankfully it does. I think the family stuff doesn't really work. I thought De Niro wasn't as good as he normally is with Russell. This kind of felt more like the stuff he forces himself to do for the paycheck than the stuff he wants to do, if you know what I mean. Yeah, and it kind of all, and it's the same thing I kind of realised afterwards, that I did enjoy some of it, just not enough of it to be like enthusiastic.
I just feel the narrative was too erratic and unfocused for me to really get into it. It was saved by the performances. I think it's not bad, and I really did enjoy it. But I think, like the Danish Girl, there was just too much missing for me to really like it.
It certainly came across as a sort of passion project for Russell. It's something that he set his heart on. He saw the story and he's like, that's fascinating. I mean, he called Joy Mangano to have a quick chat, and they spent hours and hours on the phone, and very quickly became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that comes across. It feels very sort of passionately made, so much that things get left out and he gets swept. I mean, as I've said, the fact that one of the two children literally goes missing halfway through, like, where has he gone to stay with somebody else? Is he dead? I don't know, but it's weird.
I think we're set on the different track by the trailer to start with as well. I mean, it sets you up to expect something very different. I mean, the scenes where they're getting arrested by the police, very minor thing.
Mm-hmm.
Scenes with the shotgun. You're expecting something.
Minor.
You're expecting this to be like a badass, like,
and edited differently as well.
Things that's in the trailers not even in the film.
Yeah.
The
My
wedding
name's Joy,
gown
by
with
the
the
way.
baby and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
But also as well, there's another aspect with the soap opera stuff. It's kind of like a reenactment with actual soap opera stars, which. I see. At the minute, I'm kind of iffy about it, but I'm sure on a rewatch, because now I think I'll just let it slide, because it's.
Does it seem more like a flourish than a necessary thing to have in there?
In some aspects, it works. Some it doesn't. Like the start,
I agree.
In certain scenes, but sometimes it just it's just there and it's just annoying. But
you kind of know it's coming as well, don't you? The scene builds up much like a play.
I'll not say what it is, obviously, but there's the same with Joy's mother. When it's on the telly at the background, the camera just kind of goes to after what happens, and it really fits. And that's the opening and that scene, and maybe one or two work, but there's the few others that just kind of just put you out of it.
Yep. I'd say it's worth seeing for Jennifer Lawrence and bits and pieces of the actual film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's worth a watch, and so much so that I agree with Joe. I want to watch it again and see what I actually thought in a controlled environment where there's no noises, and I can watch it on a proper size.
Also,
Blu-ray.
Isabella Rossellini.
Yeah.
She's in that.
Yeah. Okay. Another thing, the narration. What do you think of the narration? I thought that was a bit inconsistent. So much so that when happens,
Yeah, that was kind of.
and then you go, hang on, what?
Yeah, that was nice.
You forgot about the narration. I totally forgot about the narration halfway through, and then when it starts up again, you go, "Oh wait, hang on."
It's a lot of things. It's kind of semi worked, semi didn't. I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to watch it again.
That's the weird thing. It is a sort of really middling film.
Bits of the narration, fine. Others, like especially on that was kind of that was an eye roll moment.
Yeah.
As well as it's in the trailer, so as well as the haircut and scene. That's just like why I get it, but
yeah. Again, another film that. Well, with both the films we've mentioned so far, I was excited for, and they've kind of let me down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There's bits I liked about both films. It's just not a complete package, and that's what's annoyed us.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to recommend Joy, because I think, again, divisive film. People will get different things out of it. I mean, again, it's another story about courage. Very, very different to the Danish Girl.